أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is our next session for the internship program. All the sessions moving forward. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So all the sessions will be in English. I won't be using any other language for now until it is decided otherwise. For now, the whole sessions are going to be in English because that is a mode of communication we all need to be well versed in. And wherever we work, like within G20 countries like European Union or USA or Canada or wherever we are, English is the mode of communication. So I'm going to communicate and converse in English here. And today's class, we will keep on moving forward with respect to the project that we are discussing right now. Okay. So before we move forward, there are a couple of questions I would like to tackle, and I'm going to start there, inshallah. So the first thing is, everyone asks me internship program, right? What are the live class? What are the live classes? One of the key questions everyone asks me is like internship program eligibility, like who is eligible, like who can join the program? There are different kinds of students who are eligible to join. Student eligibility, students currently or previously enrolled in any diploma program, non-accredited advancement track or CORDS mentioned on a website are eligible, right? So these are the people who are eligible. Anyone who was, who took admission in diploma programs, non-accredited advancement track or CORDS. Non-accredited advancement tracks means we have lots of advancement tracks. All of these advancement tracks are going through accreditation. Once they go through the accreditation, they become a diploma program. We cannot use the word diploma without prior approval from basically the EduCall, which is the regulatory body or any other regulatory body that we work with, right? So the word diploma belongs to a regulatory authority, and only they can allow to use that word. Now, the word certificate can be used, but diploma, degree programs, they all belongs to the accreditation bodies, right? So right now we're working with EduCall. They can be SQF, they can be some other, they can be European qualification, EQF, they can be anyone right now or in the future. You have to understand and you have to remember that it depends on many factors, and we have to follow that thing. Legacy students, this opportunity is especially available is applicable to individuals whose membership expired between January 2019 to May 2023. So anyone of these programs, right, they are classified as legacy students and they can join in, right? If your program is not mentioned here, you cannot join the program. Now, the internship program, because the internship program is where you will learn and experience all the key things. Eligibility of short courses students. Anyone, if you have taken like a short course, a diploma program or anything like that, not a diploma program, but a short course or one course, Python or something like that, you're not eligible to join the internship program. So remember this. This is the most important thing that you have to remember, because you will be going through these things. As people are joining in the internship program, more and people are coming in. We will be running out of space. So we have to make sure that we highlight all the key things. Application and selection. This is again a very important question. How can you apply for the internship program? Once you register for the program, once you register for the diploma program, you will be given access to, within your portal, you'll be able to see where to apply and how to apply, right? Follow basically all the instructions given to you on our portal. Follow them, and once you apply, once you apply for that, then you will be able to understand all the key requirements, because all the terms and conditions are mentioned there clearly, right? Candidates, yes, there is a verification process. We will do a verification process if you are like an old legacy student, because legacy students are only allowed, to join in for 3 months because they don't have an active membership. But after But if they renew themselves, then they are not classified as legacy students. Then they can join in any program, any diploma program or advancement track, and then they can join in and become, they can get rake benefits from all the key things. There is a verification process. We will do a verification to understand where you are, who you are, what you're doing, etc., etc. And you have to go through some trainings. Candidates who have completed 70% of the entire coursework of the diploma track will be selected. Now, will be selected for what? You might be wondering, like, what, anyone can join. Now, one of the key things is anyone can join the program at any given point in time. Anyone, as per the eligibility that I mentioned. However, those who have completed 70% of their coursework, like all the courses and the internship MCQs, yes, there are MCQs for internship. And these are hundreds of question banks. Each question bank is of 20 questions. So if you go through all of them, then yes, what we can do is we can then put you forward in front of the trainers so that the trainers can also ask you to do work. The trainers can then ask you to do some work for them. Selected candidates will be interviewed by the department managers. Now, that's another thing that we do. Once you're selected, then the managers can interview you and see, okay, how much do you know? And those trainers can then ask you if you can assist me in some of the projects I'm doing as it relates to the internship program. Because remember, internship program is a living, breathing network. So there's a lot of work. So they will be requiring assistance. What is the internship program structure? The internship program structure, everything starts from level 3 diploma. Level 3 diploma is where we have the internship program placed. So even if you're doing level 3 or level 4 or level 5 or level 6, it doesn't matter. Or even level 7, 5, 6, 7 are coming, 5 and 6 are coming, and then 7 will be coming in 2-3 months. No matter what you're following, you will be attending all the programs, all the internship program within level 3, because that is the foundation block. That's where we discuss all the key things, and that's where we start all the key classes, right? So foundational knowledge and skills are important, prerequisite for higher levels, because even if you're doing level 5 or level 4 or level 6 or level 7, we will always recommend you to go through level 3, because level 3 is where you will learn many, many, many things. Okay. Projects limited to cloud cybersecurity diploma. If you're on a level 3 diploma, if you're only doing level 3, then you will only be able to watch the whole program, internship program, but you won't be able to participate because you can't see all the videos developed by all the trainers in different advancement levels. So you'll only be able to see some of the work as it is done in cloud cybersecurity, which is related to Linux administration, SOC engineers, cybersecurity analysts, GRC, governance system compliance, consultant level work. All of those tasks will be covered in level 3. But when it comes to DevOps or SysOps or AI or blockchain, then you have to be registered in the corresponding program, right? So higher diploma is important. Finish level 3 diploma. This is not a requirement. We recommend you to watch and complete the videos, right? So that you understand level 3 diploma, because all the key aspects are covered there. Enroll in corresponding programs. If you're enrolled in level 4, 5, 6, and 7, these are different programs. You can diploma in DevOps or diploma in SysOps or diploma in AI. If you combine 2 diploma programs, then it becomes a bit higher, and the difficulty level also increases as well. There is a progressive learning journey, and focus on specialization starts when you start merging the levels. Project participation. Interns are limited to projects associated with the diploma programs. Yes. You will only be basically restricted to the level of diploma you're doing. So if you're doing level 3 diploma, you can see the level 3 diploma work done by as per your domain. But if someone is doing DevOps or SysOps, which is level 4, or if you combine DevSysOps, that goes to level 5, or you're doing AI Ops, that's level 6, then you won't be able to see those classes or that work that is being performed. Interns enrolled in a level 4 or higher diploma programs have the opportunity to engage. Yes, they can engage the trainers in projects corresponding to lower levels of the diploma as applicable. And level 3 or 4 interns are restricted to the specific diploma level projects. Anyone, if it's level 3 or level 4 or level 5 or level 6 or level 7, This is incorrect statement. It should mention all the diploma programs, right? The interns will be restricted to the specific diploma that they are doing. So if you are doing a specific diploma program, you will only be restricted to that only. So that is at a high level that we just wanted to give you information about all the key aspects of the diploma program, the internship program. If you still have any questions, you can always go back to your customer success manager and they will assist you in terms of making sure that they provide you all the key answers, right? In today's work, we will be taking a deep dive further into the project and go and discuss some other things that we have to do. So I'm going to share my screen to make sure that we go through all the key aspects, so on and so forth. So let me share my screen. Now, yes, keep this in mind. This is the final class, broadcasted live. Moving forward from next week, all the classes will be happening only within the portal. We will not be sharing any links for the Zoom class online. No, we won't be sharing that. You have to be registered within the program. You have to join the program. You have to complete the courses, the corresponding courses, and then you're allowed to sit. There is a Zoom authentication coming up. We will give you, in order for us to protect our integrity of the courses and everything, so that we allow people to speak as well and engage with the trainers, there will be a Zoom authentication coming. What does that mean? That means that every one of you will be given an email address with our domain, alnafe.edu.pk. So for example, if your name is Hashim, or your name is Muhammad, or your name is John or David, or whatever, Bafar, or we have so many students all over the world. Wherever you're coming from, your first name and last name will be used along with our domain to give you a distinctive email address. That email address you can use to join our authenticated class, our Zoom class. Otherwise, you won't be able to. If you use your Gmail address or anything like that, you won't be able to join the classes. Next week, it should come out. It may take next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or may take like something like that. Until that thing comes up live, we will continue to do the live class. If the change is completed within our systems by next week, then we won't be live on YouTube anymore. If the change is not completed and it may take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then we will wait till then, and then we'll continue to broadcast the class. So it all depends on our internal DevOps teams, how fast they can make the change, because there are certain things that they have to change and certain things they have to work on. In today's class, so we will be going through some specific things. This is very important for all of you to understand. We have different subject matter experts. So we divided the project into people, processes, and technology. So we're going to discuss the people part first. So these are all the key people so far for this project. And the subject matter experts are here. They have different expertise. For example, this, Farhan is the blockchain expert. Dr. Saleha is the AI. Dr. Yasser is the AI guy. Muhammad Arsalan is the data ops, the big data guy, right? So we have different people coming in from different. He's the DevOps specialist. Astan Suleiman is the offensive security specialist, right? So we have different people coming from different backgrounds. Abdeli is again, I don't know why his name is twice. That is not good because that is a mistake. And that's going to go on to Yusuf and Saira for these mistakes. Saira Kaleem and these are the two PMOs we have. Shamsur Rahman is the DevOps person for the serverless architecture. He's the SysOps guy. We have some people missing here, right? Kazim is again the SysOps person. And then we have some other people which are missing here. We need to put in some of those names as well. But these are the people for this project. The processes part is where we're going to dig in deeper today, and we're going to discuss some other things. So the processes are different processes. So we're going to go through the processes. Next week, we will start looking at a couple of things. The first thing that we're going to look at is the network diagram. Because no matter what you do, whenever you engage in any exercise within an organization, the first thing you need to understand is the landscape, the people, the processes, and then the technology part. When the technology part comes in, you need to understand the network layout. How does the network looks like? What are the ingress points, the egress points, the incoming traffic, the outgoing traffic, the east-west traffic, which means traffic flowing internally within the organization. The south, north-south traffic, that means traffic going out, traffic coming in into the organization. You need to understand all the key things. You need to understand the systems, the applications, the network devices, the cloud technologies that they're using. There's a lot of moving pieces. And while we're understanding that, we will also be documenting each and everything. So this exercise of PCI DSS network, we will be leveraging a couple of things. We will be doing, since this is all in the cloud, we will be documenting all the policies in line with ISO 27001 and PCI DSS. That's the first thing. There will be certain things of ISO 27017 for cloud security and ISO 27018 for cloud privacy. We'll be looking into those things as well. But essentially, the policies and procedures will be divided as such to make sure that we understand all the key requirements as it lays out to PCI DSS and some of these other standards, right? So the processes part is very important. So next week, we will be looking at the diagram, and then we'll start jumping into the policies and procedures. And then as we are going forward, we will be documenting all the key aspects. For example, we will be documenting the project initiation and planning. We're looking into that. Engagement with payment application owner, auditor engagement, all of these things. But the most important thing, as I said, will be related to our policies and procedures, right? There's a lot of documents that you'll be creating. All of these documents will be mapped with respect to PCI DSS. But we will also be mapping to 27017, 27001, 27017, and 27018. So we'll be doing that. But we won't be covering these two standards in a detailed manner to perform an in-depth audit. No, we will only be doing these things in line with PCI DSS. But yes, you'll be able to see if the organization complies with PCI DSS, you'll be able to see that they can comply with 27001 with just a little bit of effort, right? So we'll be doing and looking into those aspects as well as we move forward and as we go in deeper and we try to understand all the key things, right? So we'll be doing all of those things as well. Today, we will be discussing the aspects of policies and procedures. So as you can see, procedure for document and record control. Please make sure there are no mistakes. No mistakes here. Try to run basically a spell check to make sure that there are no mistakes here. Because if I see mistakes, that's a big problem. Okay. Procedures for document and record control. Project plan, and then procedures for identification of requirements, right? ISMS scope. We will be talking about ISMS scope because the ISMS scope is where the PCI DSS scope lies, right? So the whole PCI DSS comes into the ISMS scope. Again, as I mentioned, our focus is only on PCI DSS, but we will document things, but we won't be performing detailed audit or implementation audit of ISO 27001. No, we will do this in the next 6 months or something like that. Not right now, okay? But throughout the process, you will see that we'll be able to document all the key requirements. If I, break this down, you will see list of legal, regulatory, contractual, and other requirements. Now, this is, very important. This is an index that comes in any organization, wherever you go, in whatever industry you go, globally, like in whatever country you go. When it comes to information technology networks, there's only one standard that is the gold standard in terms of cybersecurity, and that is ISO 27001. It is required. If there are systems, if there is artificial intelligence, if there's anything, it needs to comply. The system needs to be protected. ISO 27001 is not a requirement, but it's a best practice standard. You can certify yourself with it, but if you are a payment service provider The regulators will not ask you for, these card associations who allows you to go and process credit card data. They won't ask you for ISO 27001 because that is just a best practice. They will ask you for PCI DSS. That is a given requirement. If you want to know like an analogy, in Islam, I can give you an Islamic perspective. In Islam, there are certain things which are called fard, which is mandatory, right? Like following the Quran, right? This is mandatory. Like these are the two Qurans I have, like dates back to many, many years. This one is 25 years old, and this one is almost 20 years old, right? 23 years old. So these are my best companions. So following the Quran is mandatory. It's like PCI DSS. So but the Sunnah becomes basically, it's highly recommended because you can't follow the Quran without following the Sunnah. So it becomes, kind of important, very, very important, because otherwise you can't do anything. Similarly, organizations, they have to comply with PCI DSS, but if they follow, ISO 27001, you'll be surprised. Let me give you an example. I have not seen any organization which has implemented ISO 27001 properly and have been compromised. You know why? The reason is that compromise means like they got hacked. The reason is that when they implement ISO 27001, there are so many requirements of ISO 27001 that I'm going to show you that the senior management have to be involved in it. Otherwise, they can't do anything without it. On the other hand, if you just follow PCI DSS, I've seen many payment service providers, they got compromised by just following PCI DSS. So you cannot, to give the Muslims an example, you cannot follow Islam without the Sunnah, the Prophet's teaching, by just following Quran. No, you have to follow the Sunnah, because the Sunnah is what gives you the guidance of implementing the Quran in your lives. This is very important for us Muslims. So similarly, an organization, if that organization is implementing ISO 27001 in their ecosystem throughout the organization, then if they have to comply with PCI DSS or they have to comply with anything, they will be able to pass the audits and they will be able to maintain a secure posture. You know why? Because I'm going to show it to you. For the PCI DSS standard, policies and procedures, those are a list of documents. Those are the list of documents that you need. If I have to give you a name of list, not too many. I'm going to show you something, what the policy asks for, or the data compliance asks for. I'm just trying to look for some things. So this is for every requirement, they ask you for a specific, basically policy. Let me show it to you. You need to have a policy to build and protect a secure network, install and maintain a firewall, and then you need basically don't use vendor default settings. Then there is a requirement 3, requirement 4. These are all the requirements, but there are some very major pieces missing, and this is where ISO becomes very, very important for us. ISO's approach is all a risk-based approach. Its approach is based on risk. What as an organization are we doing to ensure that we identify the risk and we tackle the risk? And this is a very unique thing. When you go in for any interviews, and as I said, like in these internships, it says, we are teaching you how to crack all the interviews, because when you're working in an organization, you're learning all these key aspects. How do I do this? How do I do that? How can I be successful? How can I break into, in an organization and be able to be selected? These are the questions that they will be asking. So if you can highlight these points, you will be able to secure the job. The technical aspects, everyone can pass. This is where many people fail. You need to understand all the key aspects, right? This is very important for you. So ISO standards comes with, a list of legal, regulatory, contractual, and other requirements that we have to follow. So you need to create a list. We will show you the templates. Next week, we will look into the templates as well. I'm not going to fulfill fill out all the templates myself. The team will be doing it, and they will explain it to you in different videos, right? You will be able to see these videos in requirement 3, in level 3 diplomas, but in level 4 and level 5 and level 6 and level 7, these diploma programs, you'll be able to see more of the other stuff as well, right? Much more stuff. Then there is ISMS scope. What is the scope? So in this scope, we will discuss the whole PCI DSS, is under the scope. Whatever we have, that is under the scope. Information security policy. When we talk about information security policy, this is the requirement. You need that. This is not a requirement. This is again not a requirement. This is again not a requirement, but PCI DSS, as you can see, the scope requirement is again not there, but information security policy is required. Cloud security policy, we need to have that. Policy for data privacy, it's not there. They don't ask for it, but we're going to create it anyway, as per that. Risk assessment. There is a requirement, as PCI DSS says, that you need to have a risk assessment. So we will mention the risk assessments as well. We will do the MACBIM next time, but I'm just going to show it to you. Statement of applicability. What controls are applicable? So we're going to go through and understand all the key controls of PCI DSS and ISO 27001. Risk treatment plan. If you find a risk, how do we tackle the risk? This is another very important table. So you have to complete a risk assessment of the network once the network comes up, so you have to do that. You have to understand how to perform the risk assessment, right? This is going to be very important level 3 skill. You need to have that skill. Then there is a risk treatment. If you identify a risk, how do you treat it, right? It can be any risk. It can be an access control issue, a policy issue, a compliance issue, whatever risk it is, how are we going to treat it? Then there are controls, bring your own device, mobile device and teleworking policy, confidentiality statement, statement of acceptance of ISMS documents, inventory of assets. This is very important. You need to know where your assets are and what your assets are. Applications are your assets, systems are your asset, network devices are your assets, data, wherever it resides, is your asset. There's a lot of things, right? Employee are your assets. They are the most important assets of all. Acceptable use policy. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable within the organization? We will go through all of those things. Information classification policy. We'll go through this policy. Again, this is very important because then you will understand, in this payment card data, what are we doing? How are we doing? And how are we going to tackle all of these key things? How do we classify the information? How do we break down the information so that we can only focus our efforts on the controls and implement controls where the highest risks are. For example, payment card data and privacy related data requires the most security. But if it's marketing information or public information, which is on our website, that doesn't require a lot of security, right? So security needs to be deployed as per your business requirements. You have to design the controls as per your business requirements. And that's what we will be looking at. This is very, very important for all of you. Access control policy, how do we define the access control and how do we do that? We'll be looking into that. Password policy, what is our password policy? Policy on the use of cryptographic controls, cryptography, how are we going to use those controls? What are the cryptography protocols we're going to follow? Clear desk and clear screen policy. This is again a very, very important aspect. Disposable and destruction policy. This is the data disposable and data destruction policy. We need to have that thing because sometimes you will have assets within your organization. There are systems. You phase out those systems, but the next thing you know is the systems have been taken out, but the data was not scrubbed out properly. And all the customer data, all the credit card numbers, they're sitting there. That's a big issue. What happens in the cloud? Who's responsible for that? Cloud will make everything tricky. Cloud implementation will make everything tricky because we have no access to how they are maintaining the things. And this is where I'm going to tell you, what is our domain of responsibility in acquiring the cloud assets, and what is the domain of responsibility for the cloud provider, because you have to understand these things. Wherever you go right now in this world, almost 90% of the organizations around the world, and there are more than 300 million organizations. There are 8 billion people, large and small and medium-sized companies. If you combine all of them, there are 300 million companies, right? If I type in, total number of companies around the world, right? So you will see approximately there are 333 million companies around the world. Now, the world population as of right now is 8 billion. If I type in, world population, right? So for 8 billion people, almost 8 billion now, right? This is the live ticker that we are going. This is 8 billion and 54,931,300. It keeps on going, 350, right? So that is the population of the world. So out of for all of these people, there are millions and millions of companies, 333 something million companies, right? As you can see, that 333 million, that's a 300 million is a big number. All of these companies, I would say confidently, 90% of these companies are sitting on the cloud. The 10% are the bigger enterprises where they don't use a lot of, they are using cloud, but for some of these things, they're not using cloud because they might be mainframe systems and stuff like that. So they're not doing that, right? So that's what you have to understand and learn, because this is going to be very important for you. Each and every policy plays a very, very important role. Then procedures for working in secure areas. What are the procedures? Operating procedures for information and communication technology. Whenever you are, if you're doing GRC work or any other work, this is what you have to follow. These are all the policies and procedures that you have to follow, because without them, you can't do anything. Change management policy. This is very, very important for you. Backup policy, again, very important for you. Information transfer policy. How do we transfer data from one place to another, one cloud provider to another cloud provider, or from our data center onto the cloud, right? Everything else is going to be, all the technology parts I'm going to cover, they will all become secondary. This is where the holy grail is. If you can understand these things and, the people, the processes, the technology, policy and procedures, which is an extension of processes and then technology, that's it. It's done. And we will keep on adding these new technologies over here, and you will keep on seeing those things. We'll go through them. Then it comes security requirement specification. What are the key requirement specifications do we have to follow? Supplier security policy. Whatever we are getting from other third-party suppliers, what are the policies for that? Security clauses for clients, suppliers, and partners. When we acquire services from different partners, we need to have certain requirements. And those requirements must be fulfilled by our clients and suppliers and partners, with whom we are doing business or we are providing business, right? So these are all the key things that we really have to follow through, because this is very important. Incident management procedure, again, very, very important for us. Incident log, we have to maintain an incident log. Disaster recovery, training and awareness. Internal audit procedures, again, how do we perform internal audits? Internal audits for PCI DSS compliance, internal audits for ISO, internal audits for other things. Then management review minutes. This is the most important thing. This is one of the key controls, these last two ones, where many organizations fail in PCI DSS, because what they do is they only focus on putting the horse, behind the cart. That's what they do. So they put the technology in front of the horse, and they consider this, as I gave you the analogy last time, every organization, the senior management, ISO, when I said the statement, any organization which is properly ISO 27001 certified will never get compromised. You know why? Because the senior management will not be able to sleep at night, because they will remember, we saw an issue, there is a risk, we need to do something about it. If we don't do it, then we will get into trouble. there's a big problem coming towards us. Always put the senior management up, for accountability. In Islam, I'm going to give you in the Islamic examples, which anyone can relate to. In Islam, our leaders, on the day of judgment, the prophets, the messengers will be accountable. And then after them, it's the leaders. Who are the leaders? The scholars and the leaders, the prime minister, the president. If they are corrupt, if they have a little bit of faith in them, then they will not commit corruption by, spending the money of the people, on things that they do by just wasteful spending and whatever the case is, right? On the luxury life that they're living, so on and so forth, while people are struggling. So similarly, in the West, it's the same thing. You look at the politicians, like look at their lives and how they're living, and you'll be surprised what they're doing, right? So if you hold them accountable, then, everyone in the organization will be able to sleep properly. But if they're not, informed that you are responsible, if anything happens, then, organization will keep on facing hacking attempts and whatnot. Every organization can protect themselves by doing the best. Even if you follow the minimum controls of PCI DSS and ISO 27001, you can become an organization which can be almost hack-proof, 99.99%. You will be hack-proof. The remaining 0.01% is the 0 day that can come up. Apart from that, if you train your people, build up processes and procedures, and around people and process and procedures, you acquire the technology, that's it. Organization is secure and compliant. And you'll be able to see that in our next class as we go into dig in deeper. So this is the key requirement where many organizations, they fail. The reason is they are not held accountable. In PCI DSS, this is not a requirement, but in ISO, it is. So management review meetings and the corrective action forms. What are the, what steps did you took to take out and address the risk? If there is unencrypted data of the customers, what did you do? How did you address this thing? What controls did you deploy? These are all the key things. And then the final part is technology. The technology part is the easiest part. You might think, oh, this is elastic compute, application load balancer, so many other things. What am I going to do? With all of these things, this is the most easiest part. Trust me. This is the most easiest part. The technology part is the easiest part, because implementing these things is going to be a walk in the park. So we will show you, all the key implementations. So as you can see, people who have acquired the SysOps, they will be able to see the SysOps labs and the DevOps labs and the SysOps labs, all of these things, The CyberOps is the one in the cloud cybersecurity, right? So you'll be able to see Amazon Guard DUT, policy, procedures, and all of these things. This is something they'll be able to see in deployment cloud cybersecurity. So if you are a deployment cloud cybersecurity student, you'll be able to see some of these things. If you're a blockchain student, you'll be able to see this thing. If you're an AI ops student, you'll be able to see pretty much all the things, because AI ops consist of all the key things, DevOps, SysOps, AI, cloud cybersecurity, everything. We will be using some of the solutions, for our internally to ensure, we are able to show you how things are done. And then Amazon Athena, EMR, Redshift, Kinesis, QuickSight, we will develop these solutions and we'll show it to you. Now, this list is not exclusive. It's not exhaustive, because this will keep on growing. This list will keep on growing. We will take out something, we'll put in some new something, we might take 10 things out, we might put 20 things in. As we move forward, we will keep on testing, but we will develop small solutions for you to show you how each and everything really works out. Some of these things may not even be applicable. Some of these things will be applicable. Some of these things may not be applicable right now, but they will be applicable in other upcoming tracks. But we will give you some information or the other. It is up to our discretion what we're doing and how we're doing. So in this class, we covered the people, the processes. We went into further the processes, took the breakdown. In our next week class, we will take, much a deeper dive into all the key aspects of how and what we are doing, looking at the diagrams, looking at the network diagrams, understanding the landscape of how we're going to deploy this thing, while we will start documenting each and every process. Because as we are building up, we'll be documenting. So you will see these documents, all of these documents filled out for the first time, because we are building a green network. This is a green field. Imagine a green field. So you're planting seeds, right? And you will see the harvest. The harvest will be seen by the end of December. Sometime in December, you'll be able to see, okay, now this is something I can see. All of these things are done, so on and so forth. So that's how we will keep on moving forward with the project. In our next week class, you will get to learn more things. You will understand new things as we move forward. You will understand how to log on to the AWS accounts, the ERP, the documentation control systems. All of these things will be there. You'll be able to understand all the key aspects as we move forward in all of this area. So this was today's class. Write down everything, take notes. This is very important for all of you if you want to pass the interviews, because whatever we are teaching you here, this covers deployment, cloud, cybersecurity, this covers DevOps, SysOps, AI, big data, blockchain. It covers all the key aspects. I mean, there are offensive security. It covers offensive security as well. It covers big data. I mean, it covers so many things, so many verticals, right? So we are only touching on 7, 8 areas, but there are other areas coming up. And we will talk about those when we, once we start launching them, the software defined, the software development, diploma is also coming up as well. That's a very, very extensive diploma. We will be covering each and every aspect. So there's a lot of things that we will cover here. Combination of cloud native technologies and our open source technologies, and we teach you all of those things so that you can write them down in your resume. This is how I implemented it. This is what I did. This is what I did. And trust me, if any one of you would like to be successful and they want to proceed and be able to secure jobs faster, they should study, the minimum they should study is diploma in cloud cybersecurity, but it will take them time to find jobs. But 6 to 9 months time, depending on how good you are, you can get into anything you want. But if you study DevOps, SysOps, AI, and deployment cloud cybersecurity combined, then the chances of getting a job in the first 6 months goes to 98%, right? The 2% is your procrastination. Even if you're a procrastinator, it doesn't matter. You will still get the job. But if you're following one or the other tracks, depending on everyone is following the tracks as per their financial circumstances, right? Whatever you guys are following, keep on working hard. You will start seeing all of the differences that is going to, that is happening through you. I mean, you'll be able to see all the changes going through you because your understanding of an organization will keep on evolving. So if you can implement PCI DSS and ISO 27001, you can work in any company, in the DevOps side, in the SysOps side, in the artificial intelligence side. In the artificial intelligence, there's some very exciting things coming up. We are trying to establish our own Llama 2 and Alpaca installation, right? This is our own native internal AI platform, just like ChatGPT. So we will be using that for generative AI, for many of the tasks that we'll be doing here. So there's a lot of things coming up. So all of these things will give you a clear understanding of what we're doing, how we're doing, and that will give you the confidence you need to crack these interviews. I will see you in the next class. Thank you for your time, inshallah. We will meet next Thursday, same time, 1:30 Eastern time, and wherever you are in the world, that time translates to your time. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.